Hello again, it's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage and talking to the folks to make the race cars go around the racetrack. We are so glad that you have joined us. I'm Steve Post, pit road reporter for Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief, Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, a great weekend of racing in Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville puts on a show.
I mean, it seemed like the truck race was really good. The Xfinity race, dominant by JRM.
Yeah, yep.
Justin did a good job there. But, the cup race, the piece when you watch this, you've got to be, like, passing's hard.
Sure.
It's racing. This isn't a place you're going to see 24 lead changes.
Yeah.
It's a place that you're going to see driver skill. And that we saw that. I mean, when you look at it, the race that happened, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, William Byron.
William Byron, right.
Ryan couldn't get by Denny. Then William got up there in the mix, and it changed the kind of makeup of it. It was three cars. You couldn't just block one car.
Right.
So now, I mean, just
became real dynamic. Became a real fluid situation where it was a chess match with two different opponents,
and it was hard-nosed racing that was clean.
Yeah,
it was really cool to me. The three guys that know how to do it and really work their way forward. But what a great accomplishment for Jonathan Hassler, Ryan Blaney. For a team that's been, I would say, arguably, I mean, we've had 14 races. I think 4 or 5 of them, they've been the dominant car. They've been the fastest car. And they've just not been able to execute their way through it. And here they put the whole weekend together. Their long run speed was just incredible.
Yeah. Todd, I go back a year ago about this time. Remember we had Chris Buescher almost winning Kansas, almost winning Darlington. It's like, man, he'll get a win. He'll get a win. And he didn't until Watkins Glen in the playoffs, and he wasn't even in the playoffs. What's the relief? I mean, there's got to be a relief. Blaney will get a win, but to do it, there's got to be a little relief factor as well.
There is, and it just, it's the good part for them is they've had speed.
Yeah.
As I talked about. I would say, I haven't counted them, but I'd say 4 or 5 races this year, they've been the best car by far.
Right.
And there's races that probably our fan base at home don't realize that. Vegas comes to my mind. They were stupid fast. They never got to the front to show it. But they've had speed, but they haven't had the execution to put it together. Mm-hmm. They've had pit stop issues. They've had penalties. They've had, they've just had a multitude of different pieces that have cost them the opportunity. But they finally put it together. And this is the part, speed's elusive. I've said this all along. But execution is fixable. And they fixed it. And now, really, not only for the 12 team and Jonathan Hassler does this become a relief. Now this changes the whole makeup for Team Penske.
What does
the
that
only
mean?
organization, and you look at it, and I'll say the organization of 3, right? Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney all have wins. And then the 4th car that they are very heavily aligned with, the Wood Brothers program of the 21 of Josh Berry, was the first to win.
Yeah.
If you told me Ryan Blaney was going to be the last of this group to win and Josh Berry was going to be the first, I'd have called you nuts.
Well, let's see. I'd have had it totally inverted because it would have been Ryan, Joey, Austin, Josh, and it went the total opposite.
Yes. Yeah. So,
which is cool.
But for them, I think, I got to talk to Paul Wolf on Late Shift Monday night.
Okay, yeah.
And talked a little bit about this. It doesn't really change a lot, but it allows you to kind of look a little broader, to work on your package a little bit more, because they've got speed right now and they have to, and Paul's really adamant about, we've got to continue to push because if we sit on our laurels, we're going to get passed. So we've got speed right now that we didn't have last year, but we made a great ramp up into the playoffs last year. We've carried some of that over this year. A lot of continuity, not really any rules changes, but this affords them the opportunity to, if there's some things that are maybe out of the box of where they would normally go, they have an opportunity for somebody to try it and see if they can kind of push their program farther forward. I think it gives them some freedom that way to work forward. And they're the only organization that has this. We have 2 cars from Hendrick that have won. We have 2 cars from Joe Gibbs Racing that have won. We don't have another organization that has everybody with a win. And no, technically that's not a guarantee.
No.
But But it's pretty much. We've got 9 winners, but I don't know that we'll see 7 more in the next 12 races.
Yeah, because those 9 winners are going to be all tough to handle also. They're the 9 winners because
you look at the speed that the 12 cars had.
Yeah,
I feel like they've got at least they've got multiple wins left in the regular season.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson has multiple wins left.
Yeah,
William Byron has.
Yeah,
I mean, William Byron's still in the mix now. One that could kind of flop this whole piece.
Yeah,
Carson Hocevar. Woo! You look at where he's come from. I mean, I'm not going to quote the stat that I heard from Mike Gaglio earlier in the week, but he was deep in the points, like mid-20s. And in the last 5-6 races, he's now, 2 points up below the cut line in 17th?
And that's with an engine failure in Charlotte.
When they were going to contend for a win.
Right, absolutely.
I think this program, Luke Lambert and Carson Hocevar, they are on such an upward trajectory. They've got speed, and the piece that impressed me as much, their pit crew's performing. If you look at the pit crew times from Nashville, last 2 stops were mid-9s, which a lot of these supported. And keep in mind, Spire Motorsports, they're spending a lot. They have grown a ton, but they don't have their own pit department. They lease pit crews from Hendrick Motorsports, and we saw it already this year that the 5 team wasn't doing so well, and the 7 team at Spire was doing well. And we saw a crew swap out of this. So you're vulnerable to that. But right now, the pit crew at the 77 car, they're getting it done. And they're meeting the expectation of what they need to be contending for wins. And I think the trajectory here is I would not be surprised to see Carson Hocevar figure out how to win a race.
Yeah, no doubt. Man, they have got speed. That is for sure. A couple of attaboys. Truck Series, Rajah Caruth and Kevin Bono Mannion, Kevin's 12th win. This is, I think, what Spire does with young driver, veteran crew chief is phenomenal. Bono's a 5-time Cup winner. I don't think he has any dream, desires, or vision to go back to do that. But boy, there's wisdom there that Rajah Caruth can develop and learn from.
And Rajah's second win. He had that Vegas win last year, but here got a win. And a win in a case, and I think this was an impressive one because Corey Heim was dogging him. And he got clear of him, but Corey maintained that 0.3 back to 1 second back and kept pressure on him. Rajah, kept his composure under pressure and came out with a victory. And I think, what a great guy. I love Rajah, and I think, as you talked about, putting him with Bono and having that kind of wisdom and wealth of knowledge to kind of help him grow, I think Rajah's got a ways to go. Mm-hmm. He's got, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, he's winning now, and I think his runway is a lot longer. His craft needs more development to get to the point where he does it week after week. He's got the speed. So it's cool to see him get the second one. I think the third one will happen quicker.
Rajah, one of my summer shootout kids, man. Yep. I remember when he first came to us fresh from Washington, D.C. Really, really neat stuff, that is for sure. You mentioned that objects I was thinking about mirrors, objects in the mirror. When it's Corey Heim in the Truck Series, that is...
It's bigger than...
It's larger than life. It really, truly is. And one that we talk about frequently here, attaboy for Jim Pullman and Justin Allgaier. Again, Jim's 9th Xfinity Series win. So what we're going to do here on Crew Call is we're going to step away and we're going to talk about a place that's near and dear to you, near and dear to NASCAR, near and dear to manufacturers, Michigan International Speedway. We'll do that next.
3, 2, 1, start your engine!
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi.
Tell them we got it!
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR channel. Always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. If you like what we're doing, we invite you to subscribe, like, share, rate, review, do all of those things on whichever podcast platform you're listening to. That just helps the algorithm send this out more and more and gets this to more and more eyeballs and ears. So really, really fun stuff. Steve Post and Todd Gordon. Todd, we're headed off to Michigan. You're a 4-time winner up there in the Irish Hills, including your career first win. First and foremost, just you personally, how special is Michigan?
Love the place.
Yeah.
I love the place. I mean, and part of it, my Cup crew chiefing career was with Team Penske.
Sure.
This is Roger's backyard. And Roger owned the racetrack at one point. So it's pretty special. It's maybe not what Indianapolis is to Roger, since he now owns it and the IndyCar series, but you knew that coming up here was pretty special. It was a big deal. It's all about speed. It's all about handling. Like it's the 2 mile. It's the big racetrack, and a place that's really special to me because I got my first Cup win there.
Yeah.
And went up there, got Joey Logano in 2013. We got together, second race there, and that was by chance. That was the inaugural race of the Heritage Trophy. So one thing that happens up here in Michigan,
This is beautiful.
the Heritage Trophy is a manufacturer's trophy. And this being the backyard of Chevrolet and Ford, and back in the day, Dodge as well, this was kind of, the OEM's trophy. And that's Edsel wants that trophy.
Yeah.
I know that from the Ford side. And it was like I'd had Edsel walk up to me on pit road and say, I need to keep my trophy in my office. I want to take that home with me again today. Got it.
Yeah.
Got
Yes,
it.
sir.
Yes, sir. And in fact, a story on that, but we won that. That started with that August race in 2013, and we won it. Won the pole. It was our relation. I didn't realize this until I just got told it, but we had made a move from Team Penske to Ford.
Right.
In 2012, we were Dodge, and we'd moved over to Ford. And this was coming not only coming to Ford, but coming to Roush Yates Engines,
yeah.
because we had our own engine shop at
That's
Dodge.
right. Yeah.
We were the Dodge program. So we made the transition, moved some of our people. Doug, it was a great kind of integration. But we hadn't won as a program.
You're August.
We're in August. And Team Penske hadn't won as a Ford. And I didn't realize this. I got told this by Doug, actually, of all people. But we went there. Joey was just phenomenal at those places.
Yeah.
And just, we had a saying back then, tight is right. And that was something Joey and I talked about. But we had enough security in our race cars to really be aggressive. And that's what allowed Joey to do the things. But won the pole. And I remember the day we ran left sides forever. We kept putting 2 tires in this car because we didn't want to give up track position once we were out front. Won the race, first race for Team Penske with Roush Yates Engines, something that worked into a great relationship to work forward. But my first win, and all I remember out of it is I didn't enjoy victory lane at all because we were testing the next day. I was trying to figure out how we were going to get all the parts off the car to go test. My mind, that was a reminder to me that you need to enjoy the moment. And everyone from there on forward was enjoyed.
Yeah, neat stuff, that is for sure. Manufacturers Championship, the Heritage Cup is on the line. It's so fascinating because this at one time was a cookie cutter track. Now it's the only one of its kind now.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's such a unique racetrack and just unique in how sweeping it is and everything else. It's a real challenge for every part and piece of the race car.
A little bit of banking change in it. We repaved it, I think, in 2012, I believe it was. Between the 2 races there, or might have been the spring, but 2012. So it's fairly new asphalt. I say new, it's 13 years old at this point, but it was still working it in. It's still getting itself wider. They sprayed some stuff on it a few years ago, kind of widened the racetrack out, but a cool racetrack. But it's kind of its own thing. But the speeds into turn 1 are just incredible.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
The good news for the teams up there is that NASCAR scheduling has a 9:30 Saturday morning practice. You can dial those cars right in.
This is great. And actually, back in the day when we had Friday practice and qualifying and 2 practice on Saturday, there was discussion of skipping this Saturday morning practice because the air's great for the motor. The motor makes a lot of power because it's cool. I mean, you think about June days in Michigan. It's cold at night. It gets warm during the day. Like this is the most beautiful time in the world up there. Yeah. The sun's out forever, but the air is crisp and cool in the morning. Makes a lot of downforce. It makes a lot of power, and you'll run around that place about wide open. Like it's so not race relevant. Yeah. And everybody's got to they get 20 minutes of practice to go work on a race car that won't be anything like what you'll have in the race.
Yeah, but the problem of it is qualifying is so critical. You've got to take it serious. You've got to. You do. Because that qualifying is in the morning also.
Yeah.
And
follows right after that.
And then you just throw everything away and then figure out what you're doing race-wise.
Yeah. And I remember back in the day, I mean, this is one that all the engine manufacturers and engine guys were just wanting to throw up about because it makes so much, you'd run so many RPM because you run so fast. We could run in these practices. We end up running faster in this morning practice than our qualifying speed was the Friday afternoon. Taped up everything. We'd run faster in race trim. It's just crazy.
So the good news for the engine manufacturers is NASCAR only has 20 minutes.
It's only 20 minutes.
Where it used to be an hour.
Yes.
I remember I was doing PR with Doug Yates and Robert Yates Racing. I was doing PR, and I remember I was doing Ricky Rudd stuff, and I came bouncing in there. So what's the deal? And he says the deal is we're not going to run much. They had something they wanted to try or something that they thought, but it was like anything we work on for race setup is going to be in the afternoon practice session.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it is. But this is the only practice, so it's the only one you got. Everybody will be out to take advantage of everything they can out of it, but it's definitely a challenging weekend. But what a great place to go to. It's the only 2 mile we've got left. You know, California was my favorite racetrack because it was worn out, old asphalt. Right. Unfortunately, we lost that one, but it'll put on a spectacle of show. It's just, there's something about going there. And I think part of that was I work for Roger Penske. No doubt. For me.
Yeah.
But I think there's also the OEM piece. It's real. It's real. I've had conversations with, as I talked about, I've had.
Well, you know the Ford
there.
side of it. Yes,
The
absolutely.
Chevrolet people
are there.
And Toyota last year was they wanted that trophy because they wanted to take it out. It's no different than you're going to somebody else. An away game,
yeah.
And you stole the ball. Like,
yep.
There's that to it. So it's so important for all three OEMs, and it's the fastest race. You know, it's the place that you're still on the intermediate power package. We're not restricted. And you've got everything there. It's a big sweeping 2 mile oval. So there's so much to it beyond just the race. Yeah. It's OEM centric. It's kicking off the summer here. It's going to be a phenomenal race.
It's going to be awesome. It really, truly is. Motor Racing Network going to be there all weekend long. Friday night, 5:00, Arca Menard Series, the Henry Ford Health 200. Saturday, that 9:30 a.m. practice and qualifying session for the NASCAR Cup Series. And then 11:30 a.m., we go with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Listen to this one, DQS Solutions and Staffing 200, powered by Precision Vehicle Logistics.
Yeah, that'll roll right off the tongue.
Can't wait to hear Mike Bagley and Alex Hayden talk about that during the course of the race. That right there was the one time I have to say it all week long. So the joys and benefits of being a pit road reporter. So neat stuff. And then Sunday, 1:00, it's the Firekeeper Casinos 400 for the NASCAR Cup Series. Michigan is a special, special place. I think to me, Michigan was always special as a fan because it used to be one of those races. I grew up in rural Pennsylvania. It was one of those races CBS had. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those races we get to see. And I know we got into this years ago. Going there once a year makes it even more special.
It does.
Really does. And we'll have the same with Pocono in a few weeks. That's my home track. Going there, I'm like, I could go to Pocono twice a year, but boy, going there once a year is special. Going to Michigan once a year is really special to roll in there. It's a neat spot.
Yeah, it is. And it's a place that, all these teams have to work on. I mentioned a little bit, but I talked to Paul Wolf Monday night on late shift, and we talked a little bit about it because Michigan, because this is the fastest intermediate we go to, you have to start thinking about outside of Atlanta, but Atlanta's still on the Speedway motor package, so I don't call that intermediate anymore. But so you got to figure out how much downforce you want to put in your car versus how much drag you put in your car, and you see different decisions throughout the race. I talked about that 2013 win. We won the pole. I've won from the pole there, I think 3 times. And then I won my last race that I won there was with Ryan Blaney in 21. We didn't win from the pole. We had downforce built into our race car. We weren't gonna qualify that well, but we raced really well. Ryan got in a great position to make a push. He had the handling to make a push on Kyle Busch at the time and actually slip him and go out drive off to the win. But you have to make decisions.
They still have that balance then, or this is one of those places where it's more critical, that balance of
there will be teams that trim their cars out, qualify well, and if they stay up front, they're in great position. Boy, if they get buried in the back, they're in trouble. And there will be cars that qualify in the middle that then will just come charging through the field because they had more downforce built into their cars and they've got the ability to handle. So this is one that you see comers and goers.
Fascinating. And it is going to be awesome. That is for sure. And as I mentioned, Motor Racing Network will be there all weekend long. He's Todd Gordon. I'm Steve Post. Thank you for joining us this time here on Crew Call on the Motor Racing Network.